So in 2020, prior to the Xbox Series X actually launching, we got loads of news articles like this one that reads, Microsoft declares 60 FPS standard on Xbox Series X, but not guaranteed. It's not guaranteed, okay? But even people like Aaron Greenberg at the time, right, who is, I think, head of marketing for Xbox, tweeted that 60 FPS will be standard output, but the architecture allows us to support up to 120 FPS. So that was the tone of voice prior to the console actually coming out, right? Because you remember, we got these videos of the incredibly powerful custom-built architecture and hardware inside the Xbox Series X. It's an incredible piece that has 12 million teraflops and it just can perform so incredibly well. Well, here we are about 3.5 years into this console cycle, and their flagship console is starting to struggle. Okay, first we got Redfall, which supposedly was planned to be a big flagship game for Microsoft. Launch has fallen flat. Also, the game only runs in 30 FPS, at least on consoles. Currently, there is no performance mode. They might patch it later, but as it currently stands, it doesn't exist. And now it is confirmed that Starfield will also only run at 30 FPS. And I kind of wanted to give my 2 cents to this. But before we do that, I wanted to take a look at the statement that Todd Howard made and that Phil Spencer made as well, because both of these made specific comments regarding the 30 FPS issue. So I don't know who we're going to start with. Let's start with Todd Howard.
It's 4K in the X, it's 1440 on the S. We do lock it at 30 because we want that fidelity. We want all that stuff. We don't want to sacrifice any of it.
Look, if you get more than 30 frames per second, you're sacrificing, okay? In fact, the only good way to go is 30 FPS. It's unbelievable to me how these people are spinning these things around. I mean, look at the exact words that he's using.
Because we want that fidelity. We want all that stuff. We don't want to sacrifice any of it. We prefer the consistency.
Fidelity. We don't want to sacrifice. We prefer the consistency. Right? He uses all these positively connotated terms because the truth is, you hear it like this, your brain digests it differently, right? And you're like, oh, it's not that bad, right? I'm getting the consistency. When actually it's just a story about their hardware not being powerful enough or their game not being optimized well enough. So it's a thin line to walk on. But you know, Todd Howard masters this. He's a master of this stuff. Let's keep going.
Consoles, we do lock it because we prefer the consistency.
Yeah.
Right? We are not even thinking about it. And we don't ever want to sacrifice that experience that makes our games, really, really special. So feels great. We're really happy with how it feels even in the heat of battle, and we need that headroom because, in our games, really anything can happen.
God. In our games, anything can happen, right? So we really need that headroom, so you're going to play at 30 FPS. Oh, God, man, we're in 2023. It boggles my mind how this is like such a reoccurring pattern with every single console generation. And in fact, it gets worse with every console generation because every time it comes out, the promise of 4K and the promise of 60, at least, if not 120 FPS, gets louder, gets more bold and confident. And every single time we get disappointed. Every single time it underperforms, they're struggling. And I don't understand how people who are big console fans don't say at some, and I mean, sure, there is a huge growth of the PC sector, so lots of people are moving away from consoles, but that there are still so many people who say, this is fine. I also want the fidelity and the consistency, just like Todd Howard. I'm on board. Not that you need to hate against it, but there's gotta be a point where you're like, hold on a second, dude. We're being screwed over with every single generation again and again. They promise everything, deliver almost nothing, promise everything, deliver. It's like, how many cycles are you going to have to repeat until actually more people wake up and say, dude, what's going on? Like, I'm not buying that thing again. When they're going to announce the next Xbox 920, whatever it's going to be, they're going to do the same thing again. You're going to get flashy, cool, powerful looking animations that sell you this beautiful piece of new hardware, and it will be linked to a promise of infinite power forever. You know what I mean? And how many times does this need to happen? And you're like, okay, no, I've seen this before, dude. Like, after 2-3 years, this piece of hardware is, like, done. And that's not to say that there's no way of tickling out more power out of consoles, right? Especially, in fact, more on PlayStation. You have great examples in the later cycles of the console generations where developers suddenly tickled out incredible power and seemingly previously unseen performance out of these outdated consoles. So it's not that much of a generalization. But I think with the Series X and S basically being PCs from their architecture, from their basic software structure. I think there's a little bit more of a steep decline in terms of performance throughout this actual generation. But let's see what Phil Spencer has to say.
When it comes to this year, Starfield is the big thing. Today we confirmed it's 4K 30 on console. Do you guys feel like gamers got used to 60 frames per second, and that's going to be a hard bargain to make with them, or do you guys feel confident that they're going to get it when they're playing it?
I've been playing Starfield since November.
All right, you don't gotta brag about it.
No, it's not a brag. It's not a brag. It is a little bit brag, but and the gameplay's great. And at some point, not to get all geeky about it, but there's render time per frame, and teams can either want to go horizontal or go kind of deep on a frame, and I think it's a creative choice. We obviously have games that are running at 4K 60 on the platform. It's not a platform issue. It's a creative decision.
Halo 120.
Yeah.
It's not a platform issue. It's a creative decision. That one hurts me, right? Because sure, but if your platform would have more power, there would be more frames, right? If you really would have created this incredibly powerful system as you promised us in the first place, it seems like a little bit of a platform issue and not just a creative decision. But what I find super interesting is, look, both of these people are marketing people, right? Phil Spencer as well as Todd Howard. But look how differently Phil Spencer communicates this, right? Phil Spencer's like, well, the artists, they kind of had the choice to either go horizontally or into the distance. So they made that decision. There is no, we wanted all that fidelity, right? We didn't want to sacrifice any of all this greatness that we have. And for the consistency. It is for your sake, okay? You have the best experience that sacrifices nothing except the 30 FPS. But we don't talk about this. So you see what I mean? That's Todd Howard. And that's why I always kind of liked Phil Spencer, how he came across in interviews like this, because he's much more like boots on the ground. He's matter of fact. He's like, yeah, well, you make that choice or that choice. Sure, then he follows it up with a comment like, this is not a platform problem, this is a creative decision, okay? But I can kind of forgive that. He obviously still has to sell it and all that, so let's keep going.
120.
Yeah, and I think I trust what BGS, the decisions they make, and I trust what I'm playing. And we've handed the controller on a console to people here and had them play, done the same thing with Forza, and I don't ever want us to turn playing games into a math exercise.
Sorry, I just had to laugh there. Because it's like, gave people here the controller, right? People played Starfield here, also Forza. So these are the two games we have. They've been played. I'm joking. Okay, all the Xbox fanboys, calm down.
Yeah.
That as players, we say, hey, if the song doesn't have this number of tracks or the game, and I'm not saying that 60 or resolution don't impact what you play, but I don't think we want that to turn into an Excel thing.
Right.
I think you want to give the creatives the tools to make the best decisions,
right,
and the game will be what it is. Yeah. I think Starfield's going to be a great game, and I love the...
You see, this is like a Phil Spencer moment where sentences like that slip out, where it's like, and the game... it's gonna be what it is. I mean, that's not how you sell a game. Come on, Phil. You're too laid back. You have to be positive. You have to be a bit more passionate. You don't need to go all Todd Howard on that thing and just use buzzwords, right? Bombard us with all their marketing goodness. But how Phil Spencer's doing it here is also not great. But he's a lovable guy, so I can forgive him. I know he means good in his heart.
Reception today, and I don't want to kind of force specs on every game before they start.
Right, so there we have it. The two statements by Todd Howard and Phil Spencer. It's not great, to be honest. And again, it feels like a permanent deja vu where I'm like, oh yeah, it is that time of the generation where the games start to be too demanding, don't run smooth anymore, and people are getting a compromised experience on the consoles, even on the high-end ones, right? Because that is what it is. They do put all the details in there. On PC, it's just a slider, right? How much can your graphics card perform? And you put it up, and you get the distance, draw distance, you get the details, all the foliage, whatever it is. On the console, all that has to be scaled back, right? Everything has to be reduced, and I don't know. I don't know what you think about this. Do you think 30 FPS in games like Starfield, okay, we're not talking about competitive multiplayer shooters or something, in Starfield, single-player experiences, are a problem? Or do you think it's fine? Does it only depend on what you're used to? Leave your thoughts down in the comment section below. I'm curious to hear them, okay? because I think it is an issue that will stay with us until the end of this console generation at least. And then we'll see where we go from there. But anyway, leave your thoughts down in the comment section below. Also, if you want to discuss this amongst many other topics, feel free to join our Discord. It's free. The link is in the description. I'm hanging out there. It's a lovely community of people over there. You can chat politics, video games, anything you want. You can vent about your problems. Join the Discord. The link is in the description. Meet new people. And if you're here already, maybe subscribe and smash the like button. I know, I'm asking a lot. Just do it. Just do the things. Like button. It's a little animation when you click it. Try it out. It's nice. All right, I'll see you in the next one. Take care.